In the council, Louis de Richet loses his prized and idolized parent, but as it turns out, that's just the beginning of something much bigger. You see, Louis is summoned to a small council on a remote island 1 year after a near-death experience. But this isn't just any council. This is a secret society formed by Louis's mother with designs on being the most powerful, unseen entity in the world. And you really wouldn't want to bet against them, as there's some influential players like George Washington and Napoleon. The trouble is, Louis has no idea where his mother's got to, and neither does anybody else. But her disappearance does not seem to be a coincidence. Far from it, actually. There's certainly more to the whole thing than meets the eye, because she's not the one who summoned the group. And it's not just Louis who's looking for his mother either, also his newfound company. All of them have a vested interest in where she is and what she's doing. And that's when the council starts to get interesting, because you quickly need to decide who to trust and how to plan your investigation, especially when the person who summoned the council meeting to begin with chooses not to show their face. What immediately struck me about the council, apart from the ridiculously gorgeous Dishonored-esque aesthetic, is how much more mature and evolved this is compared to anything Telltale have done. And while it's yet to breach Life is Strange's emotional barrier, Don't Nod could certainly learn plenty from Big Bad Wolf Studios. In the council, every character you meet has vulnerabilities and immunities, which immediately determine how you should approach every conversation in a unique way. Gradually, you'll pick up on their attributes through timed observations, well-made deductions, and hidden clues throughout the game. This is done using a system based around effort points, which allow you to use the skills you build up through the game to penetrate the defenses of your fellow council members and get to the heart of their motivations and aspirations. You get 7 small diamonds in the bottom left of the screen, which are essentially your action points. And every time you use one of your skills, whether it's agility, political negotiations, or something else entirely, that bar depletes based on the amount of action points that were needed for that particular action. These can drain away pretty fast, so you'll need to refill them with royal jelly, which you can find around the manor. However, some scenarios can actually be a drain on you and expose your vulnerabilities, making it harder to expose others. For instance, if you eat something you shouldn't have, or you've overdosed on potions when you're actually trying to get an advantage, that can actually backfire and cause you to spend more points as opposed to less. On other occasions, you may not even be able to use your skill you've built up at all. Fortunately, you can use golden elixir to wash it away, though the difficulty comes in that you can only carry a small amount of them at any one time. Other bonuses include Carmelite Water, which means you can use any one skill for free without any effort points, and then there's Devil's Thorn, which actually reveals any character vulnerabilities or immunities so you can gain an advantage you wouldn't have had before. But this is just the beginning of a bigger conversation about the mechanics, which, at times, are going to remind you more of an RPG than a George Washington will remember this point-and-click sim. From the very beginning, you actually get to pick a class and a profession. No, seriously. Not only does this give you a unique backstory to help fill in some of the blanks of your character, but it also helps build into your relationships. For instance, as a diplomat, you'll be the most sociable person around the table, but you can also spout politics and even weave tales to help cover up your lies. Or you could choose to be an occultist who's primed to deceive, knowledge being the most important thing to you. Finally, there's the option of being a detective who can sniff out a clue wherever he stands, finding the smallest details in the largest of scenes, always looking to go for the direct approach. Once you've picked a class, you then have a small talent tree for each, which can open up new dialogue options and actions which completely change the way you play. Meaning, yes, there's the potential for at least 3 different playthroughs in this one episode, and every episode hereafter. Fortunately, you've also got 3 different save games to choose from. Your career path, for instance, determines what types of conversation you'll get involved in or how you'll react. If your Spidey super sleuth skills are tingling, you'll actually be able to read a character and identify a strength or weakness in their features, which might give you a bigger clue about them. I decided to be a wily detective in my playthrough with a focus on questioning and logic. So to do this, I dabbled in traits such as psychology and vigilance. The good thing is you can also spend points in other talent trees and acquire some of the other skills at the end of each mini chapter, but obviously they won't be as well developed as your main class. Fortunately, you can equip books to read during chapters to gain skill points in particular areas like science and politics. Using these skills, you can gain clues in different ways. For instance, if you understand Latin, you'll be able to translate some words which lead to a bigger clue. Or if you're proficient with lockpicking, you can break into someone's lockbox. And naturally, there are choices to be made throughout, such as who you spend the most time with, you help and avoid, and how you conduct yourself. The Council is a game that actually feels like it's assessing every choice you make, taking them seriously, and building into a much larger playing field. I'm both excited and petrified to see how my choices play out over the next 4 episodes. I admit it feels like I've spent most of this review explaining the game, and that's because I have, because there's a lot to take in and absorb, but it's in a good way. What's most surprising of all though is how quickly you will take to it. Within the first chapter I was fully on board with the mechanics, whizzing around the house, trying new things and trying to figure out which abilities would suit me best in the long term. While The Council is the deepest episodic adventure game you'll have ever played, you'll also digest it very quickly and be starving for more. That's part of the Mad One's problem. By the time you've really got to grips with everything, it ends, and you're left hanging for more. The good thing, at least, is that there are 2 other save files and 2 other classes to see how your choices could have played out in other ways. Unlike other episodic adventures, The Council really does encourage experimentation and replay-throughs. And while the Mad Ones doesn't really get out of third gear narratively because it's busy pacing everything while establishing the mechanics, it's quite clear the remaining 4 episodes are going to be something very special. I did find some minor frame rate pacing problems though, which did cause some slight audio jolts and scene skips. Nothing major, but it does make me wonder how future episodes will perform with more choices and consequences weighing behind them. The fact of the matter is though, The Council is the next evolution of episodic storytelling, and you will struggle to look at its competitors the same way after it. So to summarise, on the pro side, there are gorgeous Dishonored-esque graphics, multi-choice and multi-paths for each episode and chapter, engrossing and surprisingly deep mechanics, and the foundations of a really solid story. On the cons, some minor frame rate and skipping issues, and it is a little pacey, though it does set the scene very well for the future episodes. We've decided to give The Council Episode 1 The Mad Ones a 9 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know what you think about The Council. If you've played the first episode and you've got some feedback, if you've got any story theories that you'd like to run past us, we'd be really interested to see where you think the story is headed next, what you'd like to see in future episodes, and what you think of this as a whole episodic narrative structure. Is this the future? Is it a glimpse into the future? Is it part of the bigger picture? We'd love to hear your feedback on this, but for now, we'll see you next time.